This is our video lesson for Unit 4, Day 1. So this new unit we're starting today, we're going to be doing a lot with ratios, proportions, rational equations. In order to do that, we're going to go back and review what we did in the first unit, talking about fractions. So first thing we learned about the different operations with fractions. We add and subtract fractions, we need to have the same denominator. Denominators have to be the same, need a common denominator. When you change a denominator, you're multiplying. By finding a common multiple of two denominators, but you have to remember to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by the same number. Alright, just reading some of our vocabulary. Numerators we call the top of a fraction, and denominators we call the bottom of a fraction. Alright, so that's for adding and subtracting. Look for a common denominator. Make sure we're multiplying both the top and bottom by whatever number we're using to change the denominator. Multiplying and dividing is a little different. It's a little easier. Multiply and divide fractions, you don't need a common denominator. All you need to do is multiply the tops, multiply the bottoms. So we're just multiplying the numerators together and multiplying the denominators together. For division, it's the same thing with one extra step. For division, you have to flip the second fraction first. I mean, it's called the reciprocal. When you flip a number, it's called the reciprocal. So you flip the second fraction first, and then you multiply the same way you did before. A couple things from multiplication. Anytime you're multiplying a whole number, it's the same thing as a fraction with a denominator of 1. So by that, as an example, a number like 5, as a fraction, that's the same thing as 5 over 1. So you can make any whole number a fraction by adding a denominator of 1. Remember another thing, when you're multiplying, you can cancel out factors. You can simplify before you multiply, and that's what we call cross cancellation. So example of that, if I had 3 over 2 times 4 over 9, I can simplify the factors across from each other that have common factors to take out. So 3 in the top over here simplifies with 9. 3 over 9 is 1 over 3. Same thing, 4 over 2 is the same thing as 2 over 1. So now I can multiply the green numbers, work with smaller numbers, and simplify before I multiply. Mixed numbers we're going to work with the same as fractions. Only difference with these is we're going to change them into improper fractions first. So to do this, we had a shortcut we talked about back in that first unit. We multiply the whole number part of the mixed number by the denominator, and then we add the numerator. For example, if we had something like 5 2/3, we would take the 5, the whole number part, multiply it by the 3, and then add the 2. So this would be 17 over 3. So at the bottom here are 6 problems for you to practice. So they work all different kinds of problems. We have multiplication, we have division, addition, subtraction, as well as a mixed number example at the end. So try and make sure you're comfortable with all these. See the same skills we'll use once we add the variables in and we make these actual equations. Back side of the page again, this is a skill we talked about in Unit 1, fractions and percents. A percent represents a part out of 100. So if we want to change a fraction into a percent, we have to look for the same value fraction and equivalent fraction, the denominator of 100. So the way we do that, we'll do the second one as an example, is we set what's called a proportion out of 100. So we're looking for this number out of 100. That's the same as 9 over 20. Alright, so once we set that up, we're going to cross multiply to get rid of our fractions. Make this a linear equation, so 20 times x equals 9 times 100. Alright, then we have the basic linear equation right here, 20x equals 900. Just going to divide by that coefficient 20 and solve. Or anytime we have two zeros at the end of a number, we can simplify that, make it a little easier solving. 90 divided by 2, that's just 45. So 9 over 20 is the same as 45%. So the rest of these, try these on your own. Make sure you're comfortable with this process. So set another proportion out of 100, finding the equivalent fraction out of 100, knowing that represents the percent, what that fraction would represent as a percent. So once you're done with the practice, we're going to move on. We have an activity to do later. Make sure you do all these practice problems first. If you need any extra help, you can watch this video again, pause, rewind, whatever you need to do. If you're looking for any extra help online, you can search for on Google or YouTube fraction operations, and also you can search for percent for the second page. That's it for the notes, so the rest of the time is for you to practice. So get practicing, make sure you're comfortable with all these skills.